Hey everybody, it's been a while. The game has released. It's now on 1.0.0 version, as you can see in the bottom left. I was kind of waiting. I'm going to completely own up. All this time that I said I was going to be spending on my... what was it calling it? It's all gone wrong. Like the star ratings, the guide I was going to do for this Alina game, at least for the cards, I've not really done any of it. I have got some of it, I've got some of the writing, but I've not done any of the editing to put it all together yet. Instead, I spent most of the time either making the new snazzy thumbnail that I drew with a trackpad. I know it's not great, but bear with it. I kind of like it. But yeah, there was nothing else added. I was kind of like edging my bets a little bit just in case they did some balance changes. I think the only thing they did was added credits at the end of the game. So without further ado, let's play a run, and it's been a while. Okay, immediately I can see some small changes. That now it doesn't just call it Band Strike, it's Strike Bandit. And you know what? Let's just do a slave run. And I'll put it on Hellwalker 20. Now, this is for two reasons. Firstly, this came out like a day earlier than I was expecting. I know it's probably the 14th in East Asia at the moment, where I think this game was produced. In Europe, it's late PM on the 13th, so I didn't expect it to be out right now. I just saw it come up and I was like, oh god, I have to do a video on this. I'd already uploaded like 3 other things, but I'll try and get this up. So, in part, I accept that we may perish in this run. I might make some questionable decisions. I'm just going to throw that out there. Okay, I'm going to take a meme hammer, because I like the meme hammer. I am going to take the crane charm, because I really like having extra energy. Each fight with 1 rage and 3 sapped. So the longer a fight goes on, the better. Or increase block gain from cards in your hand by 2. I guess I could have gone towards a block build, honestly. Give me Stormbracer. Let's fly by the seats of my pants, and let's go for a fight early. Now, I have no means to get rid of my status effects right now. I'm well aware of it. But we'll just deal with it, okay? Okay, I can get Giga value from the meme hammer, but 2 people will be holding me next turn. Alternatively, I can just move here, and I think I'll just move there. Meme hammer not as good on the first floor as is later in the game. You know the drill by now. I imagine if you're watching this, you've been an avid fan of Alina, you've probably watched other episodes of mine. So you know what the deal is about this. Alright, another heavy weapon, unfortunately. Right, let me yeet this at you. Can I kill here? Wind up, strike is a kill. Yeah. Wind up, strike, and strike. And we're getting stronger, remember. We'll take the rusty longsword in case I need to throw it at someone. I take an old wound damage, that's fine. I say it's fine, it just is what it is, really. Okay, now I'll take a shuriken as a throwable. I will play my wound, I will play my fatigue, and I will hit you once. Right, you would like to shoot me. I will throw a shuriken. I will throw a shuriken at you. Are you shuriken? Yes, I am. Can I kill you? 90? Yeah, I can. So let's just move down here. With the bleed, you perish. And I'm actually gonna... Oh, I should have got rid of the wound. Sorry, I thought it was a fatigue. Okay, we took 1 unnecessary damage. Actually, it doesn't matter. We heal 4 at the start of each fight, so actually this trinket's pretty good for the slave. Okay, let's start smacking. Start smacking. Play a fatigue. Well, now that I've done this video, well, I'm doing this video. Maybe tomorrow I'll just spend all day on the guide, and maybe I'll just put up 1 video. I should have picked up that rock. That was big misplay. Okay, if we're going to make a status effect build work, we have to take power through. I don't think it's a good build, but you know what? I'm learning more. You have one last chance status effect build before I write the guide. well, finish writing the guide, and then try and edit everything together to prove to me that you're not absolutely awful, because I think you're pretty bad, honestly. Okay, let's... Again, we get stronger over time, so we just want to wait a little bit. We do have no ranged weapon right now, so that's a little bit awkward. All fatigue in my hand. So it's better for me right now to move. I'll strike. Oh, I'm dumb. You know what? I say I'm dumb. I'm kind of dumb. I'll take the wound damage, I guess. I thought I had enough energy to play the wound as well, for some reason. Alright, let's hurl a rock at you. And let's just keep getting rid of these wounds. We're still getting stronger, so I'm not too fussed. And they're just slowly coming together for me to destroy them. Alright, I think I'm willing to take a little bit of spike damage here because I have no other means really to get around that right now. Let's go to double stun. Ow. Put up a guard. Chonk. And chonk. I'll allow you to stay alive for the next turn because you do take a little bit of ground. And I'm just going to swipe through next turn anyway. Alright, wind up, guard, strike, strike, and throw a rock at you. And now we're looking for 38 damage. I have 22 here, which is not enough. Therefore, I will run away. Now we are running out of places to run. But soon, the prey will become the predator. I'm hoping it's this turn. I can kill you. Yeah, I can. Alright, what do I want? Flurry, Entertainer, or fast reload? You know me, I see a flurry, I take a flurry. And I'll take both of you as hurlables. If I'm going too fast, by the way, and you're new to this game, you should let me know, and maybe I'll do an episode where I talk through my decisions and how the game works. In fact, let me just do it a little bit now as, you know, we move on. So, to fight the boss, we have to kill 5, like, rooms of enemies, dictated by skulls. My attacks... My attack is dictated by my weapon. So right now I'm holding a two-handed weapon, which is my left hand, i.e. my red hand, and my right hand, i.e. my blue hand. And it's this great hammer, which does an area of effect attack. There are then other weapons that, you know, a single target, like this rusty sword. And they will only go in a certain hand. And these kind of put modifiers on your attacks. So for example, this is my deck of cards. You can see by the colour of the background that these red cards will use my left-handed weapon. It doesn't matter for a two-handed weapon because, you know, they're in both hands, but that's what's going on. Blue uses my right hand, and these grey ones don't use anything, so they won't use the weapon when they make the attack. And this is important potentially for, as I said, if I was holding this rusty sword and maybe, you know, a shield, I might want to block on one colour if I had more blocks on one colour, and attacks on the other one. So there's this little, like, you know, it's like a deck builder, but with an added layer, and I really like this additional layer. You can then do things like these meditates where you can create more cards. I can switch the colours, which is kind of a unique mechanic, or forget them. Typically I go to forget, and I typically try and forget guards because I don't really rate the base guards. I think a base strike is better than a base guard. Then I try and save rests as long as I can, because at rest you can either heal or upgrade a card, and upgrading your cards is fantastic. So let's take an event next. As you stand before an ominous looking mirror, your reflection speaks. I have what you have and I can give you mine, as long as you give me yours. Ah, I can receive 5 Shaman clone a card. Unfortunately, there's not really a card in my deck right now that I desperately want to clone. Offer 25 max HP is really high. Or remove a random card, clone a card. You know what? Remove a random card. I'm willing. Fuck you! That's the one I wanted to clone. Alright. Couldn't hit any of my other strikes in the deck. Great. Okay, I think the next best thing to copy is Slam, because I really like movement abilities. So guard works the way you'd think, the block on the guard. You keep putting up, you know, more and more block, and that just circumnavigates the damage they're doing. And it's simple, you know, subtract. Like, if I have more armor than their attack, I take nothing. If they have more attack than my armor, I take the difference. What is better, typically, is just to move out the fucking way. So I really like stuff like Slam. But over the course of this game, so I've played this a lot through early access, they've nerfed movement abilities pretty heavily because they were super, super strong. And I really like Slam as well because not only is it a movement ability, it's also an ability that pushes people. And if you push an enemy into another enemy or into the side of the arena, they get stunned. And stunning people is very strong. Because again, that is mitigating all forms of damage. So right now I've taken... Ooh, thank you. I've taken something as a bracer, which has caused me to gain rage. And rage gives me 1 strength of return, which adds to my attack. But I start with something called Sap, so it's actually reducing my damage. So it takes me a little bit of time to get going. But once I start, you know, then we're in the clear. The other thing I've got is this Crane Charm, so I'm gaining an extra energy, and I'm starting with 4 energy, very powerful. But it puts a wound in my deck, and a wound does 1 damage for every wound in my hand. So that's why I'm trying to remove these right now. While early on I can't really do anything anyway, like my damage is really low. I would rather just play these wounds and just keep, you know, stacking my damage. In fact, so much so that I'm going to hit you and then I'm going to wind up afterwards. So wind up doubles the next attack damage I make with a weapon. Actually, is it with a weapon? I think it is. It says combat. And I was hoping something like this would happen, that they would come together, and then I can just give them blam, a blam, and they're all dead. Remove the wound, remove the fatigue, and I'm feeling good. You also saw before, so you have these 3 consumable slots, and you can have things which are actually like, you know, full on consumable. So this is shield potion. If I consume it, I gain block, which is, you know, pretty nice. You can also hold additional weapons, and this can be really powerful because certain bosses are kind of more susceptible to certain weapons just because of their playstyle. For example, there's a boss at the end of this floor, and I don't know if we're fighting, I didn't check, who, I think it's called the Spider Queen, but I call her El Speedray. And she is kind of a nasty piece of work, because she summons a lot of spiderlings, and the spiderlings kind of surround you and ruin your day. So, an area of effect weapon like this is really good for crushing bugs, so it's a pretty good counter to her. Unfortunately, the other boss you can fight on this floor is someone called Gigablades, who's a single target enemy, and it's kind of a waste to have this area of effect thing, because, well, I say it's a waste. It's really a problem only because this has something called Heavy on it, which gives me a fatigue every time I attack. You can see, for example, the Rusty Sword doesn't have that, so that's kind of what my trade-off for this AoE is. It's putting a bad card into my deck. Now, Power Through, which I picked up before, allows me to play these bad cards for 0 on that turn. However, and I also gain 1 strength for it. It costs 2 mana is one thing, and it has to be on that turn, so it's kind of pretty awkward to use. At least I think the safety effect build just isn't consistent enough. I don't really rate block. The block build I think is also kind of weak. Roll I do like. So this gets less and less expensive until it becomes 0 cost, and it gives you a free move. Also it has something called Retain, so it stays in your hand until you need it. But you lose a draw for that, if you know what I mean. Because you redraw your hand every turn. Or Throw Dirt, which is an interrupt. I really like interrupts. Very powerful. Speaking of very powerful, Magic Shield, which is another state effect you can get from 2 things. One of them is an ability called Protective Ward, and the other one is from this Ward Potion. Reduce damage by 75% for 1 turn. It's insane. It's like Hyper Block, because by the end of the game, the Giga bosses will be doing like 100 damage to you, and that is just the difference between living on a turn and dying on a turn. Okay, I'm going to go balls to the walls. Let's do a train here, because I really want to get Power Through upgraded, because now it's 1 cost. And I typically value things that discount mana, so I can do more things per turn. That's typically pretty good. Just so you know as well, Wind Up also gets discounted. You can click on the card in your deck to see what happens when it upgrades, and you can only upgrade once. A bit like Slay the Spire in that regard. Now, there are certain rooms which are harder than the average room. These are the elite rooms. I normally try to fight them all on the first 2 floors. There is a very hard one on this floor, so there's 3 elites. Fortunately, this is the easier one of the three, in my opinion. Or at least, this guy and there's another guy who I've forgotten now, like the Crucible Knight or something like that. They're both pretty easy. There's then one called like the Ripper Brothers, and they are very, very hard. So, we're hoping to not see any Ripper Brothers. Anyway, I've got Throwable, so this guy right now is planning to restrict me, that's what it's called. You can hover over the enemy. It shows which tiles he's hitting by red, and he's planning to immobilize me. So his deal is he immobilizes you and then attacks. This guy is a ranged weapon, so he's just trying to shoot me, but when he reloads, he also attacks around him, so you have to be a bit careful. Now, Snag can be broken by an attack, and you have to be a little bit careful because your movement costs 1, but it has a moniker on it called Opener. You have to move first. There are then some movement abilities, for example, Slam doesn't have Opener on it, which again is why movement is really powerful, especially movement that hasn't got the Opener moniker. Another way around this is if you do a hurlable, that doesn't count as an action, so it won't break the Opener on initiative. Opener is specifically for a card that is eliminated if another card is played first. So we'll do that. I'm going to move away, play the wound, play wind up, and we'll pick up a crossbow. Early game crossbows, very strong. You want to keep enemies typically at arm's length. Now this fool, the Prowler, has just walked into his own trap. You may have seen these on the floor, the crippling traps. I can't really punish it right now, but that's pretty good for me, honestly. Okay, now I'm going to smack you. I've still got Throwable, so I'm pretty content with the way things are going. And I just want to accelerate. Let's use Power Through, plays all my fatigues and gives me 2 strength. So I'm scaling. That's my advantage right now. I scale pretty well, honestly. I'd also say while, and you might have guessed this by now, while I'm caught or restrained, I can't use movement ability, so I can't walk out this. Therefore, I have to like break it by something. Now, one thing you may see here is this guy's got armor, but he doesn't, regain per turn. The enemy's armor doesn't grow. Like mine. Sorry, mine doesn't either. I have to play the cards. But theirs doesn't dissipate at the end of each turn like mine would do. Mine just decays immediately. Unless you have something called Barricade, which I don't. But if I can get his armor to 0, I will also do something called a Break, and it'll stun the enemy. So if I can do 59 damage this turn, I could break him. And I would take no damage. Unfortunately, I'm not at the break point. However, I think I'm willing to use a Slam here to put on some pressure to you. So I can give you a good smack. I'll take 1 damage here to give you another good smack. And then I'm just going to peace out for a little bit. Over here. Now I'm willing to take the 1 damage because I've got the Survival Instinct. This is the Slave's class ability. I was hoping for a knockback ability then because I would have got a double stun, but I'm still content with this. Also, if you want to know what this little fire thing is, my Great Hammer does 3 additional damage to my cards. So, for example, this strike is 4 damage, plus 3 from the Great Hammer, 7, and then I'm getting some extra from the strength. So I'm getting 7 from the strength, but I still have 3 sap, so it's pushed a net 4 from the strength. That's how it's worked out, 11 damage. You also have these power move modes, and the one of the meme hammer, as I call it, the Great Hammer, is that you can spin an enemy around, because some enemies have, for example, the archers shoot in a line, you can spin them around and they can shoot the other way. This isn't very good on the first floor, but I'm telling you now, on the 3rd floor, this can save your life. This can be one of the best defensive tools in the game. So I might hold this, honestly, until the end of the game, if we get there. Anyway, let me do some smacking. I think I'll just throw these fatigues away. I don't really want to enrich my deck for them. Just to show you, this is what happens when you get a guard. I put up 4 block. And at the end of the turn, it will just dissipate. Right, we're looking for 18 damage here, and we have it. So this time I'm just going to stay here, because I can break him. Guard broken, stunned. And that's perfect. He's not attacking me right now, which is kind of nice, but I think I'm going to save my Slam just in case I need a desperate mobility move. Right, this guy's shooting his friend, he just doesn't give a shit about this dog anymore, apparently. We'll power through for strength. And unfortunately, I've got a really bad hand, so... Right, and he's now back to normal, so he's gone to snag mode again. Now let me start smacking you, and smacking you. So for example, let's show this off now. This guy's shooting me this way. If I wind up, use the power move, and hit him, he's now shooting this way, so I'm taking no damage. You can also hover over yourself to see how much damage you're taking on a turn, and now I'm taking 0. But you can see these elites are no joke. He was doing 65 damage this turn. Like, if you get hit by that, it's kind of your ass, immediately dead. Now, again, on the turn he reloads, he attacks you. He's a scumbag. Fortunately, this is where Throw Dirt comes into play. I can get a free stun. And this guy now is in just a world of hurt. He moves, he does like his little scatter shot. Be patient. Unfortunately, I only had lethal by hurling something at you. Now, I'm going to make a little micro play here. Rocks in your inventory sell for 1 at the end. So I'm actually going to purposefully pick up a rock, drop the ward potion, which I'll pick up again in a moment, and I'll sell the rock for 1. So I basically net 1 gold doing this play. Now, elites offer you more cards. There are some interesting things here. Arsenal is really good for something called the combo build. It fills up your consumable slots with throwables. But I'm not really there with that. Fortify is a pretty good tool for the block build. It exhausts and gives you 30 block, which is a lot. It's also a pretty good defensive tool. Tough Knot I don't overly rate. It gives you 2 block and something called Hardy. Hardy decreases over time, but it just adds that amount of Hardy to your block. So it kind of helps your block go a little bit further, but it's still pretty bad. Best Defense converts all your block into damage. I just don't think I'm there now. And then Harvest is 0 energy, deal 4 damage, targets killed, gain 1. I think I'm going to grab Harvest. I do really like Arsenal. I think Arsenal is better. If I still had Flurry, which is also very good for the combo build, I probably would have picked Arsenal up, but I think I'll grab Harvest. I think it's just a more sensible pick. Right, I'm going to sell this rock. Granite Potion also gives you Hardy, and I don't want it, so I won't take it. I'll trade the Battle Axe, because this as a throwable will do 4 damage, which is just more than the Rusty Longsword. And now we'll do another fight. Okay, more spiky Beetle Boys. So, by the way, their effect is they have spiky too. If I attack them with a melee attack, I take 2 damage. So the counter to this, as you may have guessed, why not equip a crossbow? So I've equipped a crossbow now onto my red slot, so I can use a ranged attack, which is what the crossbow does. Crossbows have a unique moniker called Reload. So you shoot once, it needs to reload. To reload, you drag a combat of that colour onto it. And that's it. It has to be that colour though, so the one-handed crossbow, like the hand crossbow, somewhat restrictive. However, you can get two-handed bows as well, which are very good. You can reload with either colour then. Okay, I've now put myself into a position as well where I can't really get out of this without hurting myself to some degree. So let's move here. 1, 2, 3, 4. No, 1, 2, 3, 4. So I can't quite play every card in my hand this turn. Am I willing to take damage from the wound? I think I am. Now, normally I would count through all this, but I was going to take it a little bit lax. If I harvest, strike, strike, that is 18 damage. So that would leave you on 10. I could then power through, which gives me another 3 strength. This would mean that if I hurl my weapon, my axe at someone, it would do an additional 2 damage. It would do 6. And then if I hurled the crossbow as well, I would get the kill. Conversely, if I hit you with Harvest and then power through immediately, I will gain 7, 14. So it'll take me to 20 again, but I will gain less strength. And then the crossbow is 4. Yeah, I think it's better to attack with everything. I might just throw this crossbow. I do like the crossbow, but overtaking 24 damage, and like now, you can hover over me, I'm taking 24 damage. So I think I'm going to guard, Harvest. I've counted this wrong, by the way. Somehow. Because I don't have enough to do the other strike. We'll power through to give me the strength. And I'll drink this. And I'll keep my throwables. So we take 75% less damage, so we took, what? 7 damage that turn? That's pretty okay. Unfortunately, I'm going to probably take more before the fight ends. So let's finish you off as well. I think I forgot to account for the move. I do this a lot. I forget the move costs 1 energy. But you can see, like, the damage is, like, ticking over now with these spiky enemies. They're really annoying. 2 wounds in hand, I take 2 damage each. Again, very brutal. So brutal, in fact, that I think I'd rather play them this turn. I'm going to shuffle over here with the slam, just to get out of this hate corner. And now, I can use the meme hammer. Spin this guy around. He's now shooting his friend for 25 damage, which is really good, because now I don't have to hit him. And I'm just going to end my turn. I'm not going to kill him. Now I'll go for a kill. Yeah, we'll do it. I hit him with a spiky boy, unfortunately, doing this. I'll hurl an axe to save me 2 damage. Remove the fatigues and end turn. Okay, do I have 32 in hand? I don't. But that's fine. I can move over here. Harvest you, which actually gives me an energy back, which is pretty good. But I don't need it this round. Harvest power really is 0 cost, if I'm going to be completely honest. And there are a few cards in the game that are searches for 0 cost cards. So they're pretty good to have, honestly. Anyway, we put up guard first. The guard soaks up that spiky damage, so I don't take as much. Okay, so fallen attack is just a big amount of damage for 2 mana, but if you don't use it, it exhausts, which is annoying. Deflect is kind of like a mediocre version of the gain 30 block. It's kind of good for the block build, but as I said, the block build is pretty weak. Fireball is a knockback and does something called burn. I'm going to grab knockback because I like knockback as a mechanic. I also like burn. Burn is probably the strongest build right now in the game. So if I can sort of direct it in that direction, I will. Okay, now all I do is... Sorry, no, all I have is 2 options, and it's shops. So let's go to the shop. We have 295 gold. You can either shop for cards or items. So items are consumables and weapons. I'm content with my items right now. The cards are really where I think we make the biggest improvement. Dupe is one of the cards I mentioned. This is what fishes out 0 cost cards. Now, this is the other type of cards. These are power cards called Reflex. So this is like, again, the power cards from Slay the Spire, if you've played that. They become a passive effect on you. So if I use this and it costs 2 energy, I gain 2 block whenever I deal damage. Some of the powers are pretty minor, but if you can get multiple of them together and stack them, they can do some pretty good work. Reflex is kind of an interesting one. It's one I don't super rate, but I don't hate it either. And I do really want to grab a card. Terrorize gives weak to enemies, which is honestly just a worse version of the magic shield. Reduce attack damage by 25%. Pretty bad, honestly. Follow-up is free and added to your hand if you move on that turn. This can be really good if you get a lot of movement cards, and we do have a lot of movement cards, but it is very low damage. However, if you can actually chain like movement abilities together, follow-up can do, again, some nasty work. Now, Lash Out does work with the fatigue build, so I might grab this just to show off the fatigue build a little bit more. So it does 6 damage, and it plays all fatigues in my hand, deals 3 additional damage each. Let's grab Lash Out. Now, I can also remove cards here, and I think I'm going to, at the cost of 150. Let's get rid of the Red Guard. Apologies. Apologies to any Red Guard fan from Skyrim. And you can also switch colours. You can also sell items here to make a little bit more money. But these things do not sell for a lot. Like, the sell mechanic is pretty mediocre. So it's pretty rare that I will sell something to buy something. It's normally literally when I'm a gold or two off that I might sell something just so that I have the money. Alright, let's fight this elite. This is the other easy elite, so we were lucky. This wasn't the Ripper Bros. Who are you called? Honor Guy, that's right. So Honor Guy is going to put up block. He's showing that now he's going to put up block. By the way, the blue symbol around him means that it's interruptible, so if I attack him, it will interrupt this movement. Sorry, this move. However, Honor Guy is so honourable, if I don't attack him, he won't fight me until I kill the two perm haired ladies, as I call them, the slave fighters. So I'm just going to dance around the arena for a little bit. Also, when I use skills, he gains strength, but I kind of ignore that for the most part. Because normally I want to set up. Now, this does come back and bite me in the behind more than I'd like to admit. Cock. I thought I had an energy left. I don't. But as you can see right now, my strength is going up pretty rapidly. So I'm content. Eventually they're going to pin me in the corner, and I will deal with it then. Alright, let's see Fireball in action. So Fireball, big area of effect. You can see right now the center enemy is not moving. The right enemy, though, is getting pushed onto that right tile because it's knocks back from the center. So let's yeet one of these out. It does 11 damage. Note that as well this was a grey card, so it didn't take my weapon damage, and it didn't give me a heavy for it. However, it did use kinetic, sorry. I misspoke with kinetic. I think it does say just, yeah, next attack deals double damage, and attack is different from combat. There are some small things like this that you have to get your head around. Now, you may notice these are all flaming tiles now, so enemies stood in the flaming tile at the end of each turn take 1 burn damage. So right now they're taking 2 burn damage, but I think it'll take up to 3, and then they'll take 3. You're burning for 2, but you're not in the burning tiles. The reason I'm making a note of this, or telling you it, is there are some effects that say especially on braces and stuff, if you're stood in a burn tile, gain a strength. Or this thing negates the effect of the burn tiles, and they can be super strong. There's also some enemies, especially on the second floor, especially the second floor bosses, who have their own tile effects, like the terrain effects, and this can overwrite them, which is, again, very powerful. Anyway, you guys are donezo. Play all the fatigues. And now this guy's going to come and fight me. He's like, alright, time to duel. Well done, let us fight. Unfortunately, I'm not going to fight you like a nice guy. What I think I'm going to do, and this is kind of weird, is I'm going to go here, shoot you with this to sap you. Then, hang on a minute. I'm going to lash out because it does more damage. Power through to give me strength. And then I'm going to slam away. This guy's very predictable. He just walks in linear paths. So I'm pretty certain he's going to walk there, and now he's immobilized. So I can give myself more time to get stronger. And that's what I'm going to do. So see you later. I'm going to swing. Swing, just to give me fatigue so that I can power through and gain more strength. So I'm at +9 strength right now from where I was at the start. Actually, I'm +13, but, +9 compared to the start, +10 now. Now I can keep this guy at arm's length if I want to. We can move here. I can give you a fireball. Now he's burning. Another key point about burning, by the way, and why the build is kind of strong, is that it goes under armor, so it's dealing damage directly to his health. That can be a weakness in certain circumstances, but against some end bosses, especially when you can do effects that multiply burn on enemies, you can do some disgusting burn rates. You can get 200 or 300 burn on a boss. Not too difficult. Sorry, without any difficulty, I guess is what I was trying to say. Now, also I've got a Spearhead. This is another two-handed weapon, but it has a reach on it instead. A bit like D&D reach. So not only will it attack the tile here, it attacks the tile 1 in front as well. Which is pretty good in certain circumstances. So it's like the two-handed ranged weapon. Anyway, I'm going to give you a strike. A strike. Then I'll lash out. That breaks you. And I'll play the fatigue. And he keeps burning. He's just stood in the fire. This is kind of awkward as a turn goes. So I'm going to just show you this way, but I don't think this was the optimal play. If I'd stood next to him and shot this, I would have hit me with the fireball as well and pushed me away. There are situations where that is the optimal play, but this wasn't one of them. Also, what I will show you as well is, once you've attacked with a weapon, you can't swap the weapon out of your hand anymore. So this is locked into my hand for the rest of this turn. But if you use a non-combat card, you can swap your weapon afterwards. It doesn't really matter because, you know, it doesn't use their stats, which is why you can do it. But just letting you know. Right, again, this guy is going to put up some block, and I don't want to. Let's juggle the weapon onto my other hand. Do a little wind up. Harvest him. Reload. And strike him. Beautiful. Okay, analyze. Whenever you don't attack during a turn, gain 1 extra energy next turn. This can be pretty powerful at the start because I don't attack for a few turns normally. But this is really better for the block build, in my opinion. Battle Stance is kind of a nice card. Like middle of the pack. It gives you something called Poise, which means you draw an additional card next turn. And more importantly, it gives you something called Light-Footed, which means your next initiative costs 0. Which again, is pretty good. It's like an energy discount on a move. And often, most turns you move. Final Blow sucks. It gets stronger over time and gets retained in your hand, but the scaling is too low on it and the initial damage is too low as well. Would not rate it. Change Tactics lets you discard certain cards from your hand and draw them. It's net negative cards. I don't really like it. And then one more trick is select a card from your draw pile and add it to your hand and exhaust. This is never bad. And when you upgrade it, it doesn't exhaust. Now, this Recurve Bow is a two-handed bow. As you can see, it's taking my red and blue slot, and I'm pretty happy with that, because I'm already using a two-handed weapon anyway. So this Recurve Bow also has a power move effect knockback. Again, another really good defensive tool. This all being said and good, I'm going to sell this rock. I don't really need it, and we're probably going to throw the crossbow. As I said, the difference in value between the crossbow and the rock is 3 gold. It's basically not worth saving a crossbow to sell it. It's better to hurl it for that 1 extra damage. In my opinion. Now, on easy difficulties, you might disagree. Hellwalker 20, which is what I'm playing on, is like... It's not the hardest difficulty, but it's like the hardest base difficulty. Once you've beat it, and I have beat it before, you unlock the ability to go even higher. And all that happens is, like, for every level, you increase the HP and the attack of an enemy goes by, like, 5%. I think in alternate levels. So I've never gone beyond 20, but there are some mad SOBs who go to, like, Hellwalker 100, which is just mental. Truly mental. Okay, let's meditate. I think we're going to forget a card. And I think we just keep getting rid of guards. And let's do the other fight. Now, just to let you know as well, and we're fighting Gigablade, not the Spider Queen. If we challenge now, I gain 5 HP for every remaining encounter. This can be good if you're on super low health, just to regain, you know, some health. And it tells you you'll gain 20, so of the 4 things I have left, gain 20 health. That's pretty good. However, I think the cards are better, so I typically try and fight everyone on this floor. The one exception is the 3rd floor, and this is because the elites on the 3rd floor are incredibly hard. So I'm normally a little bit careful with that floor. Okay, interesting decision to shoot that way. I guess it's locked me in a little bit. But off the bat, I'm looking at shuffling here. This guy wants to put up guard, attack to interrupt. What if I just push you into the wall? That knocks him back and stuns him. Perfect, just what I wanted to see. Then I can get rid of this wound. This guy has to reload next turn anyway. So I'm now safe from the tile above me. I will say a lot of your first games, and I would not recommend starting on Hellwalker 20. In fact, I don't think you're allowed to start on Hellwalker 20 from what I remember. It's just going to be learning the AI of the enemies to some degree. Like, I know what all these enemies are going to do. Sometimes the AI is actually really smart. Sometimes it's incredibly dumb. But more often than not, it's smart. Like, they try and trap you into corners. But I know, like, this archer shoots and he has to reload and does nothing. I know that she only attacks at an adjacent tile. I know he gains armor. You can also hover over enemies to see if they have passives and so on. Like, the game's pretty, you know, nicely done. Anyway, we still benefit from waiting right now, so I think I'm in the stage of let's wait. What I could do, though, and I can't really do this turn, while I'm waiting, I could equip the bow and shoot someone at range. Unfortunately, I can only obviously shoot along the diagonals with this bow, so I can't hit anyone. And one more trick, the last card of my deck is a strike. I guess this leads me to a question of, do I want to strike for next turn? Not really, but I think I'd rather have one more trick in my deck. Anyway, this archer's probably going to move away from me. No, he's just going to stay there and reload even. Sure. Let's hurl the dagger. Okay. Can I do... Oh, fuck. The dagger breaks kinetic. Sorry, that was a misplay. Huge misplay, honestly. I think I could have killed both of these guys on one turn. Now I can't. But it's fine. We can recover from that. We'll kill you instead. Because we're still getting stronger, remember, so... The onus isn't really on me to, you know, rush them down. It'd be nice if I could, but... It's really on the enemies to come and, you know, attack me. Anyway, let's wind up. Remember that we have kinetic. Don't throw something at someone with kinetic. You lose it. Okay. Now I can do a strike. So strike is not lethal, actually. But it will be with a harvest or a strike. Remember, the kinetic goes away, so it was half damage from the next attack. I strike you again. Then I save that one more trick for a harvest. I harvest, I kill 2 enemies, this will give me 2 energy back. Now I can throw a fireball at you. Or I could throw it at you, but... Let's get you weakened. And remove 2 fatigues. Right, I think I'm just going to yeet the shield at you. For 7. We are a little bit trapped in the corner right now. I will admit that. Let's kill one of you at least. Okay. I think this situation is worth throwing something at you just to break you. I actually miscounted. I thought it was breaking you as well. And now we have a turn where this guy is not doing anything, so I'm going to move over here now. And then I'm going to start smacking again. Harvest. Strike. The fireball is interesting, so I can throw a fireball at you. And I think I will, because I can guarantee get a kill on you basically with any form of attack. And the odds are I'm drawing into a form of attack. Or at least I'm going to draw into a movement. He's also burning, so I could probably throw something at him and kill him as well. But it took a tile that this guy couldn't move into, so it protects me for like a turn again. Anyway, I'll kill you with a slam. Lash out. Power through. And now we can just take our time. We can kind of just dance around the arena if we want to. But we'll just use the throw dirt. Exhaust, by the way, obviously is not permanent. It's just for the rest of that battle. So we might as well use the cards while we have them. I'll drop back here, throw a fireball at you. Gain even more strength. Okay, he wants to put up guard this turn. Fortunately for me, this is why we keep a bow. Also, I can just kill you. Bow is very good for interrupting things. Okay, nearly accidentally picked Swipe. So Swipe attacks in 3 directions just as an attack. You might say, why have this? But obviously not every weapon is an AoE weapon. So it's kind of anti-synergistic with the Great Hammer. But it's pretty synergistic with the bow because it will literally fire like a split shot off in 3 directions. Which could be kind of insane. Deflect again is gain block. And Shield Charge charges for a tile, so it will knock someone back and move me forwards. It does 2 damage. If you deal damage, it becomes free. And also it does additional damage equal to the block you have. Now, you might think this looks garbage. I actually really rate this card. I think it's fantastic, even in non-block builds. Why? Because I really rate movement abilities, and this is a movement ability. And if you hit an enemy and do damage, it's 0 energy, move a tile, do, 2 damage. That's fine. 0 cost, do 2. I'll take it. Anyway, let's shop for cards again. Okay, this I think is one of the best cards in the game, if not the best card. It's up there as one of the top 2. I would say, and I'd say my star ratings, this is going to be a 5-star card out of 5. This is one of the few cards in the game that I think works in every single deck. It's almost like you see it, you pick it. So this gives you that magic shield effect, so it reduces damage by 75%. But what's really neat as well is if you upgrade this, it heals you for 7 as well, I think is the effect. And it gives you the magic shield. There are so few ways in this game typically to heal. Like, we have it as a class identity, but other classes just don't have access to it. So it's a really nice way to, like, heal back the damage that I'm taking potentially from the Crane Charm. And there are also builds where you want to take some self-inflicted damage to, like, power up cards. And that can be a really good addition to those builds. It's just all around a great card. I call it like an answer card. If a boss is going to do like 100 damage to me, I put that out, it's doing 25. It's literally the difference between living and dying. Okay, again, just to show you, I'm going to train it here. Shield Charge becomes 2 cost. So that's a pretty good choice for the upgrade. One More Trick doesn't have Exhaust. Wind Up I really like because it becomes 0 cost. So I might grab Wind Up here to get it to 0. But there's a lot of good options here. I'm going to do this event, but I don't really hugely rate the events in this game. Some of them are pretty fun. There are some of them which are just bad, though. So rather than just healing 5 HP, let's give the event a go. The host comes up to you and starts complaining about the lack of spectacle in recent matches. "The audience needs to see more action," he exclaims. He wants you to add something extra to your matches and promise a better reward. So if I take 6 hits, he'll give me a small health potion. Garbage. If I do a 5-hit combo, he'll give me a health potion medium. Okay, viable. And that includes throwables, by the way. Or if I can do 50 damage on a single attack, I'll receive a health potion large. This is probably the easiest one I can do, so we'll do massive damage. Luckily, if I fail this one, nothing bad happens. And this is the boss of the floor. So this is Gigablades, and this guy is doing area of effect attacks. That's kind of his deal. And he also scales. Look at his health as well. 105 health. Sorry, 280 health, 105 armor. He is not messing around. But nor am I. Or Alina. Anyway, let's start powering through. Immediately I've negated the sapped. And by the way, this little potion I grabbed before gives me light-footed. I'm just going to pop it immediately. Because it's really useful. I should have moved on that turn as well, but doesn't really matter. But anyway, this guy's pretty good with the meme hammer because I can spin him around when he's doing this. Spoil though, his area of effect becomes bigger after a round of fighting, so I'm going to be a little bit cautious. Again, burn, very good against elites. This is going to go against his health. I've not really got the full burn build, so it doesn't matter that much. It's just a little tickle. And I have had situations where, I've been on 1 health, the boss has been on 1 health, and I've died. So every little damage does matter. Every little health does matter. Okay, this guy is slowly pinning me into the corner, but this is why I have my slams. So let's take my free move here. I'm going to slam away. I'll hit him. I'll hit him. And then I'll slam into the corner. And remove a wound. The other gimmick about this guy, by the way, is if he does hit you and he hits you twice, he gets exhausted and takes a turn off, basically. So you can beat him with the block build. It's just a little bit harder to initiate. Okay, I'm going to wait here. I'm going to push you into a burning tile again. I'm going to lash out at nothing and power through. I could also be shooting this guy from range, so again, I said bows are really good on this floor. He's part of the reason why bows are pretty good on this floor. Because I could have just pinged him from a distance. I probably should have been, honestly. I wasn't really paying attention. Anyway, let's start going on him now. I will invest to throw dirt. And that's a regen potion, which is very useful. That gives me regeneration. Right, 14 more damage when he breaks. I'll move. And you know what? I'm just going to drink this. So at the end of this battle, I will fully heal anyway, so it doesn't really matter, but I'll just use this to keep me topped up. So this will give me 6 health and 5 health and 4 health. I used to call it like, it's like 6 factorial, but that's multiplication. I don't know what it is when it's additive, or if it even has a name. Any mathematicians out there, tell me what plus is instead of, you know, multiplication, as it is for factorial. Anyway, he's broken, so he's stunned now. What is in my deck? Everything. Let's go and grab power through then. Gives me 3 more strength. And now we're back to full. So I'm also aware right now that this guy, at the end of all of this, when I've stunned him and broke him, he jumps back to the center of the arena and he'll get his strength up and he'll reapply his armor. So you kind of want to go really hard on the turn you break him. Giggity. So I'm actually going to throw this at myself and him. Because I like the damage. Also, I've got regeneration on right now, so I'm going to heal back through this. And now you'll see why Gigablade is kind of difficult. So he jumps back to the center. You think a tough think again. Look at the area now. That's scary. I'm telling you now, this is scary. Fortunately, I have a bow. So I will shoot you. Then I can reload with this. Really bad turn to draw the protective ward in some degree. But anyway, we did a big chunk of damage there. Now that he's close enough to me, I can re-equip the meme hammer. And this is why the meme hammer's strong. Use the power move. Spin him around, baby. He's now not hitting me. I probably should have used a slam if I'm going to be truthful, but I just wanted to meme. And now I'm also adding a lot of fatigue to my deck. This is the other disadvantage of the fatigue build. Sure, I'm scaling, but it's also ruining my deck, so it's making my hands less consistent. I kind of don't want to go to him on this turn because I'm not doing that much damage, but otherwise he just jumps back into the center and rearmors, I think. And I think I'm going to save my slam. I think the same thing is going to happen again. I think I'm going to fireball myself in the face. Strike. Power through. Yeah. Do you think Alina cares about her own health? There goes the regeneration, by the way. Right, he's now got 117 block. This is going to be a tight one. This is pretty close, honestly. I think I back off here and equip the bow. And start blasting. Shoot, reload, shoot, play the fatigues. Now we have a meme hammer to spin around. So let's hit him. And let's lash out at him. That breaks him as well, which is kind of annoying. In fact, I probably should have done that in the opposite order. Because I'm not guaranteed to do 50 damage to this guy in a turn. Possibly I'm with this hand, though. As in, I am guaranteed. And that's the first floor, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, I didn't do 50 damage in a single attack? God damn it, doesn't really matter. Ah! So when I said the fire build, this is the real enabler, oil. So this doubles a target's burn damage. If you upgrade it, it's triple. I honestly think there's a few cards in the game, and hopefully, as I said, I'll find some time to do this guide. I think this is one of the few cards that kind of takes you in a direction that you have to go in. It's so strong, it's a win condition against the final boss. Who, I guess I won't spoil this episode. So I think I'm going to grab it. This will mean now that I start taking any card that has burn on it, basically. I've not got a lot right now, and honestly, this is going to look like a dead card for a while, but I promise you, If we can enable it, it will do dirty things to bosses. Against general enemies, it's kind of bad. I'll probably just yeet it at people. No pain, no gain does 4 HP damage to yourself if you gain an energy. It's also non-lethal, so if you're on 1 health, it won't kill you. There are situations where this is nice. Swing does knockback, and as you can imagine, it's kind of insane with my Great Hammer, because every AoE tile I hit then has knockback. Vigilant is gain block, draw a card, can be very good. In the block build, it's kind of an essential. Sometimes I do grab this when I'm really desperate, just for the draw, but I'm not desperate right now. And then Watchful is kind of like Final Blow. It's a block card that gets better and better over time, but it's far too slow. It's kind of garbage. I'm going to take Oil. This Osafune is a katana. This has a different mechanic on it called Focus. I'm not going to get into that now. We'll deal with that in another build. Once you beat a floor boss, you get offered an accessory of some variety. Unfortunately, if you skip it, you get no reward. So it's kind of like take it, unless it's worse than anything you've got. Capybara can be very good at the end of the game. I don't really like it early on. Right now, not terrible. Hunter Brace, if you kill an enemy, you draw a card. Pretty mediocre. And if I'm attacked, I do 4 damage back. These are all really mediocre. I'd say the exception is Capybara Charm, but you want that as late as possible. And I really need to grab burn cards, so I don't want to restrict my draw. So I'll grab the Hunter Bracer. So I'm completely full up of stuff right now. Anyway, there's 2 more floors of this. Hopefully, you know, we can live through those 2 floors to show it off. But I'm going to end this episode here and get it up. If you're enjoying this, if you're a new viewer, let me know what you think about it in the comments below. I can't recommend this game enough. If you like Slay the Spire, you'll love this game. It's phenomenal. And the developer is, honestly, since it came out in early access, which was, I think, January or February this year, he's done very regular patches to, like, you know, rebalance the game. And if he keeps doing that through, like, the 1.0 stuff, obviously, developer, if you're watching this, take a break, man, you deserve it. But if he keeps every so often just, you know, moving numbers around a little bit, I think this game could have such a long longevity to it, especially when modders get into it as well. I think it'll be fantastic. But yeah, if you've come back from the early access, welcome back. And also, welcome to any new viewers. Anyway, thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.